Ryan Miller stared up at the massive silver gates of the Intergalactic Alliance Academy. His heart beat fast in his chest. After 22 years of living on his family's corn farm in Iowa, he was about to become one of the first humans to train, alongside aliens from across the galaxy. "Cadet Miller?" A voice came from behind him. Ryan turned around and saw a tall, blue-skinned being with 4 arms. Each arm held a different electronic device. "I am Commander Zixval, your training supervisor. You are 3 minutes early. Acceptable." Ryan straightened his back and nodded. "Thank you, Commander. I'm ready to begin." The commander's yellow eyes blinked sideways. "Follow me. The other species are already settled in their quarters." Ryan grabbed his simple duffel bag and walked through the gates. All around him, strange beings of different shapes, sizes, and colors moved with purpose. Some floated instead of walked. Others crawled on many legs. A few seemed to teleport short distances. "The human has arrived," whispered a plant-like creature to its friend as Ryan passed by. "So fragile-looking," the friend replied. "I heard they break easily and cannot grow back limbs." Ryan pretended not to hear. He was used to it by now. In the 6 months since Earth had joined the Alliance, humans had become objects of curiosity. Most aliens found humans both fascinating and strangely primitive. Commander Zixval led Ryan to a large dome-shaped building. "This is Dormitory 6. You will share quarters with 2 other cadets." The commander stopped at a door and pressed his hand against a scanner. "Your roommates were selected based on compatibility factors and research into your species' needs." The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, 2 beings looked up at Ryan. One sat in what looked like a small pool of water. His skin was green and shiny, with gill-like slits on his neck. "Greetings, human. I am Krill of the Meridian Seas. I hope my water basin does not create too much humidity for your dry skin." The other roommate stood in the corner. His body appeared to be made of rough gray stone with glowing blue lines running through it. "I am Vex Pelteran. Try not to leak your body fluids near my sleeping crystal." His voice sounded like grinding rocks. "Nice to meet you both." "I'm Ryan Miller from Earth." Ryan set his bag on the remaining bed. "And don't worry, I'll keep my fluids to myself." Vex made a grinding noise that might have been a laugh. "The human uses humor as a defense mechanism. Interesting." After settling in, Commander Zixval took the new cadets to meet the medical staff. A slender figure with pale purple skin and large silver eyes approached Ryan. "Fascinating," she said, walking around him in a circle. "I am Medical Officer Alara Nim. I have never examined a human before." She reached out with 6-fingered hands and gently touched Ryan's arm. "Your species relies on a calcium-based skeletal structure, correct? So brittle compared to carbon fiber or crystalline formations." Ryan smiled politely. "We manage okay." Later, that day, all new cadets gathered on a large field for physical training. The instructor, a massive reptilian being, divided them into groups. "Today we test endurance," the instructor growled. "Run until you cannot run anymore." The alien cadets looked confused. Many species were built for short bursts of speed, not distance running. Ryan felt a small advantage for the first time. 3 hours later, most alien cadets had stopped. Some lay on the ground, breathing heavily. Others had withdrawn into protective shells or hibernation states. Ryan kept running. His face was red and sweat soaked his uniform, but he continued at a steady pace. "The human is still moving," whispered Krill to Vex as they watched from the sidelines. "How is this possible?" "Perhaps they are not as fragile as we thought," Vex replied, his stone face impossible to read. Commander Zixval made notes on his tablet. "Interesting," he muttered. "The human demonstrates unexpected physical endurance despite inferior biology." When the exercise finally ended, the aliens watched with curious eyes as Ryan wiped his sweat and caught his breath. For the first time since arriving, he felt like he might belong here after all. Ryan's first week at the academy was filled with strange moments. He learned quickly that what humans considered normal often shocked his alien classmates. During meal time, Ryan bit into an apple he had brought from Earth. A group of gelatinous aliens nearby made distressed bubbling sounds. "You eat plant offspring?" asked one blob. its translucent body turning a sickly yellow color. So barbaric. Ryan looked at his apple in confusion. It's just fruit. What do you eat? We absorb minerals from special rocks, the blob explained, proudly. No violence involved. These cultural misunderstandings happen daily. Ryan accidentally offended a six-legged Draxian by making eye contact for too long. He confused a gaseous being by trying to shake its hand. Each mistake was embarrassing but educational. On the 8th day, the cadets gathered for a chemistry safety class. The laboratory was filled with containers of various substances from across the galaxy. Today we learned to identify toxic materials, announced the instructor, a tall insectoid alien named Professor Zilk. His mandibles clicked as he spoke. Each team will analyze these samples and determine which are dangerous to handle. Ryan was paired with Krill and a butterfly-like alien named Pella. They approached their assigned table where 10 small containers sat. Remember, Professor Zilk warned, use your analysis tools. Do not touch, taste, or smell any substance directly. The team worked methodically through the samples. Ryan used a small scanner to check the 5th container, which held a bluish powder. The reading says it's non-toxic to most carbon-based life, Ryan told his teammates. As he set down the scanner, his elbow bumped the container. The blue powder spilled across his hand. The reaction was immediate. Every alien in the room backed away. Pella's wings fluttered in panic, creating a small windstorm. Krill dove under the table. Professor Zilk froze in horror, all 6 eyes widening. Emergency. Protocols, shouted an alien from across the room. The human has contacted beryllium oxide. Call medical immediately. Ryan looked at his hand in confusion. The powder felt slightly warm, but nothing more. What's wrong? Don't move. Professor Zilk approached cautiously. Beryllium oxide dissolves organic material on contact. Your epidermis should be liquefying now. Ryan shrugged and walked to the sink. It just feels a little tingly. He washed his hands thoroughly with soap and water. When he turned back around, the entire class was staring at him in silence. Professor Zilk's mandibles twitched nervously. How is your hand still intact? Human skin is pretty tough, Ryan explained, and it regenerates quickly. He dried his hands on a towel, revealing slightly reddened but otherwise healthy skin. Medical Officer Ilara rushed into the room, carrying what looked like emergency equipment. She stopped short when she saw Ryan standing calmly. You're fine? She asked, her silver eyes blinking rapidly. Just a mild chemical burn, Ryan said. It'll be fully healed in a day or two. The medical bay was unusually crowded that afternoon. Aliens from various departments found excuses to observe as Ilara examined Ryan's hand. Fascinating, she murmured, scanning his skin. Your cells are already regenerating. Most species would require extensive tissue replacement after beryllium exposure. Word spread quickly through the academy. By dinner time, cadets from all departments watched Ryan with new interest. Even Vex, his stone-faced roommate, seemed impressed. Perhaps humans have certain advantages, Vex admitted grudgingly as they returned to their quarters that evening. In their room, Ryan found a small medical kit on his bed with a note from Ilara. For future incidents, though I suspect you might not need it as much as we thought. Your species continues to surprise us. Ryan smiled as he placed the kit in his drawer. Maybe being different wasn't so bad after all. The aliens might think humans were strange, but they were starting to see there was more to Earth's biology than met the eye. News about the indestructible human spread through the academy. Ryan tried to explain that he was normal by Earth standards, but the aliens remained fascinated. Some kept their distance, worried about his strange biology. Others asked endless questions about human healing. 1 month into the term, Commander Zixval announced the quarterly combat trials. All cadets must demonstrate their natural defense abilities, the commander explained during morning assembly. Combat skills are essential for all Alliance officers. Ryan felt nervous. Most alien species had natural weapons, claws, venom, or special abilities. Humans had none of these things. On the day of the trials, cadets gathered in the large arena. The seating area filled with instructors and senior officers eager to observe the new recruits. "Look at the betting pools," Krill mentioned to Ryan as they waited. "No one expects the human to last more than 30 seconds. Ryan frowned. "Thanks for the vote of confidence." The combat matches began. Ryan watched as Krill used his water manipulation abilities to overpower an opponent. Vex demonstrated impressive strength, his stone body nearly unbreakable. Then came Ryan's match. The announcement system called out, "Cadet Ryan Miller versus Cadet Gorn." The crowd murmured with interest. Everyone wanted to see the human fight. Ryan stepped into the arena circle. His opponent entered from the other side. Gorn was a reptilian saurian with green scales, sharp teeth, and natural armor plates covering his body. He stood nearly 7 feet tall and had claws that could tear through metal. "Begin," called the referee. Gorn charged immediately. Ryan dodged sideways using his smaller size for speed. The crowd gasped at his quick movement. For 2 minutes, Ryan managed to avoid Gorn's attacks. He remembered his academy training and his boxing lessons from Earth. But Gorn was powerful and experienced. Eventually, Gorn cornered Ryan against the arena wall. The saurian swung his massive arm. Ryan blocked the blow, but the impact was tremendous. A sharp crack echoed through the arena. Ryan fell to one knee, his left arm hanging at an odd angle. The bone had clearly broken. Gasps and shouts erupted from the crowd. Several medical officers rushed toward the edge of the arena. "Stop the match," someone called out. "The human is severely damaged." But Ryan rose to his feet. His face was pale with pain, but his eyes remained focused. He adjusted his stance, now protecting his injured arm. "I can continue," he said firmly. The arena went silent. Even Gorn looked confused. "Your structural support is broken," Gorn stated. "You cannot fight." Ryan managed to smile. "Watch me." Using only his right arm and focusing on footwork, Ryan continued the match. He couldn't win against Gorn's natural advantages, but he refused to quit. For 3 more minutes, he evaded and countered when possible. When the match finally ended, Gorn was declared the winner. But no one was looking at the saurian. All eyes remained fixed on Ryan, who walked out of the arena rather than being carried. Medical Officer Ilara rushed to his side. "We must get you to surgery immediately. Your bone needs reconstruction." Ryan shook his head. "I just need it set and a cast. Humans heal broken bones naturally." In the medical bay, the staff panicked as they prepared emergency procedures. Ryan sat calmly on an examination table, explaining human bone healing to increasingly astonished doctors. "You mean the bone will knit itself back together?" asked Ilara as she carefully examined his X-ray. "Without artificial fusion or replacement?" "It takes about 6 weeks," Ryan explained through gritted teeth as they set the bone. "But yes, it will heal completely." That evening, Ryan returned to his quarters with his arm in a cast. Krill and Vex were waiting. "The entire academy is talking about you," Krill said. "No one has ever continued fighting with a broken limb before." Vex nodded his stone head slowly. "Perhaps humans are not as fragile as we believed." Ryan smiled through his pain. Slowly but surely, the aliens were beginning to understand what humans were made of. Ryan's broken arm became the talk of the academy. Aliens from all departments found excuses to visit him, staring at his cast with fascination. Some even asked to sign it, not understanding it was a medical device rather than a cultural artifact. 2 weeks after the combat trials, Medical Officer Ilara requested Ryan's presence in the laboratory. "We would like to study your healing process," she explained as Ryan sat on an examination table. "With your permission, of course," Ryan nodded. "Sure. What do you need me to do?" "Simply participate in our xenobiology project," Ilara said, her silver eyes bright with excitement. "Several cadets from different species will share information about their natural defense mechanisms." The project took place in a large circular room. Cadets from 12 different species sat in a circle, including Krill, Vex, and Gorn, who nodded respectfully to Ryan. "Let us begin," announced Professor Jax. a tall avian alien with brilliant blue feathers. Each species will demonstrate their primary defense mechanism. One by one, the aliens showed their natural protections. A jellyfish-like being generated electric shocks. A furry creature sprayed a cloud of paralyzing spores. Gorn demonstrated his armored scales that could withstand laser fire. Krill created a perfect water shield around himself. When Ryan's turn came, he stood awkwardly. Humans don't really have special defenses like you all do. But you continued fighting with broken bones, said a small, six-eyed alien. How is this possible? Ryan explained about adrenaline, pain tolerance, and the human body's remarkable adaptability. We compensate for our lack of natural weapons with endurance and determination. Show us your healing progress, Professor Jax requested. Ryan had his cast removed the day before. He rolled up his sleeve to reveal his arm, still slightly discolored but functional. The aliens leaned forward, amazed. Only 2 weeks, and the bone is already stabilized? Ilara scanned his arm with her medical device. Most species would still be in critical recovery. Humans are known for healing quickly, Ryan explained. We're pretty resilient. Do you have more examples of this resilience? Asked Gorn, sounding genuinely curious. Ryan thought for a moment, then lifted his shirt to show a scar on his side. I had my appendix removed when I was 14. It's a useless organ that sometimes gets infected. The aliens gasped in horror. You had an organ removed? Krill's skin darkened with shock. And survived? Humans can live without several of our organs, Ryan explained. We have 2 kidneys but need only 1. Parts of our liver can be removed. We can even survive with just 1 lung. The room fell silent as the aliens processed this information. That's terrifying, whispered Vex. Ryan continued showing various small scars, from childhood falls, a bicycle accident, a cooking burn. For each one, he explained the injury and recovery. The aliens listened with growing respect and unease. Word of the xenobiology session spread quickly. By dinner time, instructors were looking at Ryan differently. Some seemed impressed. Others appeared worried. That evening, Ryan overheard Commander Zixval speaking with another officer outside his quarters. The human's adaptability is remarkable, Zixval said quietly. Perhaps they are more valuable to the Alliance than we initially believed. Or more dangerous, replied the other officer. A species that can endure such damage and continue functioning? That shows concerning unpredictability. Ryan pretended not to hear as he entered his room. Inside, he found a message on his communication device. It was from Ilara. Cadet Miller, you have been selected for an advanced field training mission. Report to Hangar 3 tomorrow at 0600 hours. Pack survival equipment. Ryan smiled as he prepared his gear. Finally, a chance to prove humans belonged in the Alliance. He had no idea this mission would test his resilience like never before. Ryan arrived at Hangar 3 early the next morning. 5 other cadets were already there. Krill, Vex, Gorn, and 2 aliens Ryan hadn't met before. One was a bird-like creature with golden feathers. The other looked like a floating cloud of purple gas contained in a clear suit. Welcome, cadets, said Lieutenant Draz, a tall insectoid with metallic blue skin. You 6 have been selected for a training mission to Nexus Traor, a former mining planet. Your task is simple. Retrieve survey equipment from an abandoned outpost. Lieutenant Draz handed out breathing masks. The atmosphere is toxic to most species. These masks will filter the air. Do not remove them under any circumstances. The cadets boarded a small shuttle and strapped in. Ryan sat next to the bird alien, who introduced herself as Nala. I've heard stories about you, human, she chirped. They say you continued fighting, with broken bones. Ryan smiled. Just doing my best to keep up with everyone else. The shuttle launched smoothly, but as they approached Nexus 4, warning lights flashed across the control panel. Engine malfunction, announced the shuttle's computer. Preparing for emergency landing. The craft shook violently. Ryan gripped his seat as they plummeted toward the planet's surface. With a deafening crash, the shuttle hit the ground and skidded to a stop. Is everyone okay? Lieutenant Draz called out once the dust settled. The cadets checked themselves and each other. Besides minor bumps and bruises, everyone seemed fine. They put on their breathing masks and exited the damaged shuttle. Nexus 4 was a barren world, with red soil and strange rock formations. The sky had an eerie green color. "The outpost is 5 kilometers north," Lieutenant Draz said, checking his equipment. "We proceed on foot while emergency services track our location." They had walked less than a kilometer when Ryan noticed his breathing mask had a small crack from the crash. Toxic air seeped in, making his eyes water. "My mask is damaged," he reported to Lieutenant Draz. The alien cadets immediately backed away. Nala's feathers stood on end. Krill made a distressed bubbling sound. "We must return to the shuttle," Vex exclaimed. "Without proper filtration, the human will die within minutes." Lieutenant Draz looked grim. "There are no spare masks." Ryan examined the crack. "I can patch this temporarily. I just need something adhesive." As the others watched nervously, Ryan used medical tape from the emergency kit to seal the crack. But the fix wasn't perfect. He would need to hold his breath occasionally when the seal failed. Every few minutes during their trek, Ryan would hold his breath for long periods while adjusting the tape. The aliens grew increasingly anxious each time. "How long can humans hold their breath?" Nala asked after Ryan went nearly 2 minutes without air. "About 2 to 3 minutes is normal," Ryan explained after taking a fresh breath. "Some trained humans can go much longer." The group reached a narrow canyon that blocked their path. "We must climb down and up the other side," Lieutenant Draz said. Halfway across the canyon floor, they heard a rumbling sound. Rocks began to fall. From above. "Rock slide!" Lieutenant Draz shouted. "Take cover!" The cadets scattered, but Nala tripped and fell. Large rocks tumbled toward her. Without hesitation, Ryan rushed back and pushed her to safety, but a boulder struck his shoulder. Pain shot through his body as his arm was pinned against a rock wall. The aliens froze in horror as they realized Ryan was trapped. His mask had come loose, exposing him to the toxic atmosphere. "There's a gap here," Ryan called out, examining the tight space where his arm was caught. "I can get free, but I'll have to dislocate my shoulder to pull through." Before anyone could respond, Ryan braced himself and yanked his body away from the wall. A sickening pop echoed through the canyon as his shoulder dislocated. The aliens watched in shocked silence as Ryan slipped his now dislocated arm through the gap and staggered free. He quickly readjusted his mask with his good hand. "We need to keep moving," Ryan said through gritted teeth, his arm hanging awkwardly. "But your limb connection is severed," Krill exclaimed. Ryan shook his head. "It's just a dislocation, I can fix it." To the alien's astonishment, Ryan braced himself against a rock and pushed his own shoulder back into its socket. He groaned in no pain but then rotated his arm carefully. "See? Good as new," he said with a weak smile. "Let's get to that outpost before anything else goes wrong." The training mission was a success. Despite their injuries and the shuttle crash, the cadets retrieved the survey equipment and were rescued the following day. Upon returning to the academy, they were given 3 days to rest and recover. Ryan spent most of his recovery time in his quarters, his shoulder still sore but healing well. On the 3rd morning, he received a message from Alara asking him to visit the medical bay. "I need to do a follow-up scan of your shoulder," she explained when he arrived. Ryan sat on the examination table as Alara ran a scanner over his injured shoulder. He noticed she seemed nervous, her silver eyes darting toward the door frequently. "Is everything okay?" Ryan asked. Alara lowered her voice. "Ryan, I need to show you something, but we must be careful. Can you follow me to my private research office?" Curious and concerned, Ryan followed Alara through a series of corridors to a small office tucked away in a quiet corner of the medical wing. Once inside, she locked the door and activated a device that emitted a soft humming sound. "Privacy field," she explained. "No one can listen to us now." She pulled out a data pad and showed Ryan a series of files. "I found these in the Academy's secure database. Someone has been collecting detailed information about human physiology." Ryan looked at the files. They contained extensive scans of his body, detailed notes about his injuries and recovery times, and a long list of potential human vulnerabilities. This goes beyond normal cadet medical records, Ilara said. Someone is specifically studying how to harm humans. Ryan felt a chill run through him. Who would do this? I'm not certain, but I believe it's linked to Director Malker. He oversees Academy security, and these files were tagged with his clearance code. Ryan had seen Director Malker a few times, a tall, gray-skinned alien with black eyes that seemed to see through everything. He always looked at Ryan with particular interest. But why? Ryan asked. Not everyone believes humans belong in the Alliance, Ilara explained. Some species fear what they don't understand. Your ability to endure injuries that would kill most aliens. It frightens them. Ryan ran a hand through his hair. So what do we do? For now, be careful, Ilara warned. I'll continue investigating, but you should watch what you say around senior officials. As Ryan left the medical wing, he noticed 2 security officers following him at a distance. He pretended not to see them. Over the next few days, Ryan began to notice other changes. Some instructors treated him differently, asking him unusual questions about Earth's military capabilities. His access to certain academy areas was restricted without explanation. During a combat training session, Ryan was paired with an instructor he hadn't met before, a severe-looking alien named Drav. Today we practice defense against nerve strikes, Drav announced, demonstrating a move that looked unnecessarily aggressive. When it was Ryan's turn to practice, Drav struck him harder than necessary, hitting a pressure point that sent shooting pain through Ryan's arm. It seemed deliberate. That evening, Ryan found Krill waiting in their quarters. The aquatic alien seemed worried. I overheard something concerning, Krill said, his voice barely above a whisper. Director Malker was speaking with Professor Zilk about testing human resistance to certain pathogens. Ryan tensed. Testing how? They did not say directly, Krill replied. But they mentioned your name. Ryan was about to respond when the door chimed. A messenger droid delivered a notice. Ryan was to report to Laboratory 7 the next morning for special testing. That night, Ryan could hardly sleep. He knew something was wrong, but he couldn't leave the academy without risking his status as one of the first human cadets. Whatever was happening, he would face it head-on. The next morning, Ryan reported to Laboratory 7 as ordered. Director Malker was waiting along with several medical staff. None of them was Ilara. Cadet Miller, Director Malker said with a thin smile. Thank you for participating in our research. This won't take long. Ryan noticed a small container on a nearby table. It glowed with an ominous green light. We simply need to test your reaction to a common Alliance pathogen, Director Malker explained. For safety protocols, of course. As a medical officer approached with the container, Ryan realized with growing dread that this was no routine test. It was too late to back out now. Ryan had no choice but to submit to the test. The medical officer opened the container, releasing a fine green mist that Ryan couldn't help but breathe in. Nothing happened immediately, and Director Malker looked almost disappointed. You may return to your regular duties, Cadet, he said. Report any unusual symptoms immediately. Ryan left Laboratory 7 feeling fine, but by evening, his body began to ache. His temperature rose quickly, and sweat soaked through his uniform. When he could barely stand, Krill called for medical help. Emergency medical staff rushed Ryan to the Academy Hospital. His condition worsened rapidly. High fever, difficulty breathing, and painful rash spreading across his skin. News spread fast through the academy that the human cadet was dying. In his feverish state, Ryan was aware of the chaos around him. Alien doctors argued about treatment options, none having experience with human biology. The pathogen that should have caused only mild symptoms in most Alliance species was devastating to human physiology. Through blurry vision, Ryan saw Ilara push her way through the crowd of medical staff. Her face showed both worry and anger. This should never have happened, she hissed at another doctor. This was deliberate. Despite his pain, Ryan managed to speak. His voice was weak, but clear enough for those nearby to hear. "Human immune system, different from aliens," he whispered. "Need to let my body fight it, just help with symptoms." The alien doctors looked skeptical, but Alara supported Ryan's suggestion. "His species has an adaptive immune response," she explained. "If we suppress the fever completely, we might interfere with his natural healing." For 3 days, Ryan drifted in and out of consciousness. His condition became the main topic of discussion throughout the academy. Some officials argued that this proved humans were too fragile for space travel. Others, including Commander Zixaval, defended Ryan's place at the academy. "Even if the human doesn't survive," Director Malker said during an emergency meeting, "we must consider whether Earth is ready for Alliance membership." But on the 4th day, Ryan's fever broke. His breathing eased, and the rash began to fade. The alien medical staff watched in amazement as his condition improved hour by hour. "His immune system has adapted to the pathogen," Ilara explained to the astonished doctors. "Humans develop resistance to diseases they survive." By the 5th day, Ryan could sit up and eat. Visitors came to see the miracle human, as some cadets called him. Even Gorn came, bringing a small token from his homeworld, a piece of crystal said to promote healing. "You have earned respect," the reptilian cadet said simply. Director Malker was notably absent from Ryan's visitors. An investigation had begun into how Ryan was exposed to the pathogen, with many suspecting foul play. On the 7th day, Ryan insisted on leaving the hospital, despite Alara's objections. "You need more rest," she argued as Ryan put on his uniform. "I need to show everyone that I'm okay," Ryan replied. "That humans don't stay down." When Ryan walked into the academy dining hall that evening, conversations stopped. All eyes turned to him. He was thinner, paler, but standing tall. Commander Zixval approached him. "Cadet Miller, you should be resting." "With respect, Commander," Ryan said, his voice still raspy but growing stronger. "Humans recover better when active." Ryan joined his friends at their table. As he ate slowly, strength returning to his body, he noticed something important. The other cadets were no longer looking at him with curiosity or fear. There was something new in their eyes: respect. That night, Ryan learned that Director Malker had been temporarily relieved of duties pending investigation. But Ryan knew the director wasn't acting alone. Others at the academy still doubted whether humans belonged in space. As Ryan prepared for bed, still weak but determined, he received a message on his datapad. It was from Commander Zixval. "Report to Training Field Alpha tomorrow at 800 hours for your final qualification test. Your illness does not excuse you from academy requirements." Ryan smiled. This was his chance to prove once and for all what humans were made of. Dawn broke over the academy as Ryan made his way to Training Field Alpha. His body still felt weak from fighting the pathogen, but determination pushed him forward. When he arrived, he found not just Commander Zixval waiting, but nearly the entire academy staff and student body gathered to watch. "Cadet Miller," Commander Zixval announced formally, "this is your final qualification test. If you pass, you will become the first human officer in the Intergalactic Alliance." Ryan straightened his back despite his fatigue. "I'm ready, Commander." "The test was designed by Director Malker before his departure," Commander Zixval explained. "It was specifically calibrated to test human limitations." Ryan noticed Director Malker standing at the edge of the field, still permitted to observe, despite being under investigation. The director's black eyes watched Ryan coldly. The test course spread across the entire field: obstacle walls, balance beams over liquid that bubbled dangerously, weighted carrying sections, and complex puzzle stations. It was far more challenging than any test Ryan had seen before. "You have 1 hour to complete the course," Commander Zixval stated. "Begin." Ryan started strong, scaling the first wall with practiced movements. But by the 3rd obstacle, his lingering weakness became evident. His hands trembled as he solved a complex alignment puzzle. His breath came in gasps as he carried heavy supply packs across a narrow bridge. The crowd watched silently. Some alien cadets whispered that it was unfair to test him so soon after his illness. Others waited for him to fail, still believing humans didn't belong among the stars. Halfway through the course, Ryan's legs gave out. He collapsed to one knee, breathing hard. Director Malker made a satisfied sound. From the crowd, a voice called out, "Get up, human!" It was Gorn. "Show them what your species can do." Ryan looked up to see his friends watching him. Krill, Vex, Nayla, and others he had trained with. Even aliens who had once feared his strange biology now cheered for him. Drawing. A deep breath, Ryan pushed himself back to his feet. Pain shot through his still recovering body, but he ignored it. One step at a time, he continued through the course. At the final obstacle, Ryan faced a climbing wall that seemed impossibly high in his weakened state. His muscles screamed in protest as he reached for the first handhold. "He cannot finish," Director Malker stated loudly. "This proves humans are unsuitable." But Ryan kept climbing. When his right arm threatened to give out, he used his left. When both arms burned with fatigue, he used his legs more. Inch by inch, he ascended. When he finally reached the top and hit the completion sensor, the field erupted in cheers. Even Commander Zixval's usually stern face showed a hint of what might have been a smile. Ryan descended and stood at attention before the commander, swaying slightly with exhaustion, but refusing to fall. "Cadet Miller," Commander Zixval announced, "you have completed the qualification test. Despite clear attempts to ensure your failure," here he glanced pointedly at Director Malker, "you have demonstrated the qualities the Alliance values most: determination, adaptability, and strength of character." The commander placed a silver pin on Ryan's uniform. "I hereby grant you the rank of junior officer in the Intergalactic Alliance. You are the first human to achieve this honor." The crowd applauded. Director Malker turned and walked away without a word. Later that evening, Ryan's friends gathered in his quarters to celebrate. Krill had somehow acquired foods from Earth as a surprise. Vex presented Ryan with a small stone carving of a human figure standing tall. "I still do not understand how you keep functioning after so much damage," Vex said. "But I respect it." Gorn nodded in agreement. "Your species lacks natural weapons and armor, but you have something perhaps more valuable. You simply refuse to stay down." As the celebration continued, Ryan received a message from Earth. The Alliance had approved additional human cadets for the next Academy class. His success had opened the door for more humans to join the stars. Ilara appeared at the doorway, smiling. "How are you feeling, Officer Miller?" "Sore," Ryan admitted with a laugh, "but ready for whatever comes next." "That," Ilara said, "is the most human thing I've ever heard." As Ryan looked around at his alien friends, he realized something important had changed. They no longer saw him as a fragile curiosity. They saw him as an equal. Different, yes, but worthy of respect. Humans had found their place among the stars, not despite their seeming weaknesses, but because of the strength those challenges had built within them.